Get off! Get off! Get off! Oh, this... Get it off of me! The beast! The beast! I can't feel my legs! And that's how we started session 3 of Hoard of the Dragon Queen. Welcome. We are playing Hoard of the Dragon Queen, so I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. If you do not want to have this story spoiled for you, if you haven't played through it as a player or a DM, and you'd like to read it on your own, by all means, I'd say stop watching now, go find something else to watch. However, if you like this surprise being spoiled, or you've already played through and simply want to see how we did things, I invite you to keep watching. Side note, though, in the other 2 campaign diaries, I mixed in a lot of how I DM'd and changed things as a DM into the campaign diary, and the video started getting very long. So I've decided at this point on, I'm going to start splitting them, and this will be the campaign diary where it's just a storyline, and you get to hear about the adventurers and how they handle the situations that are before them through Hoard of the Dragon Queen and eventually the rest of the Tyranny of Dragons with the Rise of Tiamat. If you'd like to see how I did it as a DM and see the DM notes and how I changed things or modified things to fit my party, my gaming style, the terrain I have, the miniatures I have, those kinds of things, by all means, I will be starting up another playlist called How Haven Did It, and you can watch that, and it'll be all my DM notes for this campaign and any other campaign I do, so that they're separated, and you get, those of you who love a good story, watch this video. If you want to know the DM notes, go watch the other story, go watch the other video. If you want to have both, watch them both. So without further ado, though, let's move on. The cultist is being sat upon by an elk. Now, the elk is actually our dwarf druid, Rosalind, in a wild-shaped form as an elk. He's complaining loudly. The rest of the party starts to try and interrogate him while the elk is sitting on him and get nowhere because there's a beast sitting on his legs. He broke one jumping out of the mill, and he proceeded to then break the other one, having an elk sit on them. So he doesn't give them any information until the elk proceeds to remove herself from him. The elk wild shifts back to a dwarf. He pulls himself up against the mill, and at that point, they proceed to continue to interrogate him after stabilizing him a little bit. Not able to get a lot of information. With him being a mercenary, all he knows is that his little band of mercenaries was hired by another group to help this out. Later on, they find out that the 2 people that hired were Frulam and Sinrath. Now, Sinrath, we will find out later, we've kind of mentioned them. The party has seen them a little bit wandering around in the outskirts, kind of running things. But so now they have names. And they also know that Sinrath is a half-dragon, and that the other one is just a humanoid. They don't know exactly what type of humanoid, but that she's at least humanoid. That's about all the information they get from him. He's then told he's made poor life choices by Arkin, and that the rest of the party threatens to kill him if they see him again, to which he, though, responds, "I'm not going anywhere," and looks down at his broken legs. The party moves on and decides that they are now going to return back to the tunnel entrance, back to the keep, and check in on see how things are going. So they make their way back. Now, if you had watched our other videos, when they first made their way to the mill, the houses along the stream bed along the stream as they were going to the mill were being ransacked while they were walking. Now they're coming back, and those houses are surprisingly silent. They don't see any activity around them. Now, if you haven't looked at the book, we are right now along the bottom edge of the map, which, as funny as it sounds, I actually have. No, actually, that's my player reference. I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay, so we have Greennest, and we are down here at the bottom, right about there, actually. So they were all these houses. They follow the stream back. All these houses are not. So we're down at the lower edge of the city here, or town. They head their way back towards the tunnel. Surprisingly quiet now. Kind of odd, but we'll deal. So they make their way back. They get back to the tunnel, and they realize that all the bodies from the cultists and kobolds that they had killed earlier are no longer there. In a panic, they rush into the tunnel to see whether or not, and they see lots of footprints too, lots of footprints, lots of action around here. They rush back into the tunnel. Luckily, all they find inside of the tunnel is Lady Grey and a few of the guards that went with her. Upon closer inspection, they find that the guards, unfortunately, have passed away. And Lady Grey is hanging on, but she was unconscious until roused by the adventurers. The party wakes her, and they ask her, and she informs them that her and the guards tried to take the temple, and they did not succeed. She took a lot of damage, and most of the guards died. They were able to take out the mob of multiple kobolds and a few cultists that were around, but once they tried making an actual assault on the temple, they were unsuccessful. They managed to make their way back here. At this point, Melanie offers to help bring Lady Grey into the keep, and unfortunately they didn't have any healing potions, they didn't have any spells really ready to be able to heal her. Actually, I take that back, they had one spell. Arkin casts her one last spell slot to heal Lady Grey, and they send her on her way back into the keep. And the party makes their way to go take on the temple. So the temple, and I will throw up some pictures to show and as they get there, they follow the stream over to the temple, sneak up on it through the underbrush, and are able to actually get a good look. Now, the way I set it up was a big square because unfortunately that's what I had for the way I had the walls in the temple set up. And all the party managed to make their sneak rolls and their stealth rolls. So they're able to sneak up on it and walk around the walls and jump up a little bit and get a really good look, because at this point in time the cultists and the kobolds and the giant lizards are all very focused on the temple. They're bashing on the door, they're hacking at the other doors. The front door is being beaten upon by a big battering ram by 6 kobolds. The other 2 side doors on the side and back of the building have other kobolds and cultists that are hacking at it with axes, trying to break down the door. They figure out what they're going to do, and the party decides they're going to still come in from the back, where there's only this 6 kobolds and 3 cultists, and 1 giant lizard just past them. They decide that's going to be their best bet. They floated some ideas of maybe spider walking up the temple, sending some stealthier ones to maybe climb around it, and decided against it, and that they would try their frontal attack. They start off with Lutau popping through the back gate, drawing his bow, firing an arrow, and then charging the giant lizard to smack it with his quarterstaff. Remy proceeds to finish the giant lizard off with a few daggers, well-placed daggers, to the backside. Our half-orc barbarian Nerys charges, raging in, and makes it all the way to the kobolds, unfortunately without having a chance to attack. Our 2 support, the druid, Rosalind, and Arkin, our cleric, make their way in, not able to make full engagement, so they move in about most of their movement and hang back to see how they can help. The barbarian is almost overwhelmed at once, with 6 kobolds all coming around, using their multiple attacks and dodges. They end up actually doing a fair amount of damage to our barbarian. She swings wildly, managing to take 1 or 2 out, but they still left 4 kobolds that still are attacking her. 2 of the cultists come over to Remy, who has snuck up along the wall to throw her daggers, engaging with her as well. The Rosalind wild shapes into a panther and leaps onto the top of the temple. Arkin casts a few sacred flames here and there, doing what she can so low on spell slots. Rosalind leaps off the building, engaging some of the cultists on the other side as a panther, manages to do a bit of damage to one of them, and proceeds to then leap out, causing just a little bit of havoc. Our Nerys, our barbarian, is swinging wildly. Unfortunately, she's just not making contact. She takes a bit more damage. She's losing a lot, very close to consciousness. Remy joins her as the cultists have ganged up on her. Lutau lets loose a few more arrows, manages to remove a couple more of the kobolds in the combat. The sacred flame from Arkin removes a couple more. Rosalind comes down off of it, transforming back into a dwarf. Not as a dwarf, still as a panther, charges back in to fight with one of the giant lizards that had come around the other side of the building. Towards the end of the combat, the townsfolk, under the leadership of the priest that was still inside the temple, finally rallied and came busting out just as the last few kobolds and cultists fell. They were grateful for the adventurers coming to save them and taking out the cultists. They expressed this with a few trinkets and gifts that they had with them when they decided to barricade themselves inside the temple. This included a set of bagpipes, an adventurer's pack, and a large coin worth some gold that they gave the adventurers. Falcon Moon, the priest of the temple, did give the party 2 healing potions as well that he had tucked away for helping them out. And he also used up his skills and his spells to heal the party, to bring them back to help them out after the fight. The party decided they were going to take a short rest now and fill in Falcon Moon and the other townsfolk on what they knew, but unfortunately, being new, they didn't know any names and just had to give some descriptions and kind of reassure the townsfolk that a lot of people did make it to the keep, but they didn't know any specific names and weren't able to give them specific reassurances if family or friends had been made safe to the keep or had made it out of the raid. So as we left our adventurers, they were left with these questions. Do they escort the townsfolk back down the stream and to the keep through the secret tunnel? Do they let them stay here, barricaded and safe, now that the immediate threat has been removed? Did Lady Grey and Melanie make it back to the keep? And how is the keep faring? It's been a few hours. Has it taken any more damage? Has there been another assault? Is that where all of the kobolds and cultists went that were ransacking the buildings? Or are we near the end of this very long night in Greennest? Well, who knows? We'll have to find out next week when the party continues. This was a relatively short mission for us. We had some technical difficulties with Skyping in one of our players from another city, our half-orc barbarian Aris, as well as the cold is running rampant here in the fall of Michigan while I'm recording this, and so we had some of our players weren't feeling the greatest. We made it a very short night. But tune in next week, and we will hopefully find out what our adventurers do. Until then, may you make all life-saving throws.